FightHype.com. Here with Kenny Porter.
Sean Zutell.
Kenny, man, is this the best camp your son's ever had?
You know what? At the risk of sounding cliche or the company line, yes it is. It definitely is. But it's not just because of this camp. It's because of this entire year that he's put in, the work that we ask him to put in before, during, and after a fight. So this is something that I identified when he turned professional and watching other professional boxers. When a fighter is preparing for a fight and you're able to get him focused, and he's able to go into the fight, and let's say it's a 6-week to 8-week camp, and he's able to go into the fight, win the fight, and be successful winning the fight. After he wins the fight, he becomes his most vulnerable at that point. He's got money, he's got fame, he can eat anything he wants, he can do anything he wants, he got no restrictions, and so he's vulnerable to everything that can happen and go wrong at that point. So what I identified a long time ago with Sean and other fighters, but mostly implementing with him was a pre-camp, a camp, the fight, and then the aftercare of the fight. And then a lifestyle that he would have to live and stay with and be focused on and just continue with that until it's time to go into a camp. He did that for me this year, this entire year. So for the Ugas fight, he had his camp. After the fight, he had 1 week off. The second week, he started into cross training. The third week from the fight, he started back into boxing. Nothing heavy, just hitting the pads and bags, that kind of thing. The fourth week, 30 days to the actual day from the Ugas fight, was his first time back sparring. At that point, he sparred 10 rounds, knowing that he was still in top shape. From that day to now, he continued to cruise along and work at a steady pace that we asked him to work at. Mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, nutritionally, he stayed balanced the whole entire way. So we didn't have any weight problems, or we didn't have any other situations where he was on a vacation for a month, or he was hanging out with too many friends or anything like that. And so where we at right now, coming into this fight, it is definitely the best camp he's ever had as a professional fighter.
When you mentioned weight, how important was that? Because I remember in previous camps you talking about you should see how we hit before we have to come all the way down in weight. We hit even harder 2 weeks before the fight. Is that lessened now because of the stuff you're talking about?
It's definitely lessened because of this, but what has happened in the past, when he was doing things the way we wanted him to do them, he would stay within 12 to 15 pounds of the fight weight year-round. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, a few other things happened. Life happened, the girl happened, baby happens, things like that. And so we started to see it climb a little bit. But this entire year, pretty much, we've seen him be able to stay within that range, and we say, Sean, hey, today we want to see this on the scale. And he could just go to work and come in, jump on it, and we'd be happy with it. I mean, literally every morning he takes a picture of his weight, even if I'm not with him, and sends it to me. And I'm happy every day because I know coming into this, he's already where he needs to be, and then we put a little work in today, and it's going to come down, and then he just kind of eats back up to where he needs to be. So he's very settled in his weight right now.
Does it need to be the best camp to beat Errol Spence?
They all need to be the best camp to beat everybody at this level. It's not just an Errol Spence. And Errol Spence got to be his best to beat a Sean Porter.
Right.
When you get to this level, Danny Garcia's got to be at his best to beat a Sean Porter. When you get to this level, a Keith Thurman has to be at his best to beat a Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao has got, so everybody, once you get to this level, there is no easy way to go. There is no, you don't see any of those guys, of all those guys that I just named, which fight can you name where the bell rang and somebody hit the other guy and he was knocked out? Doesn't happen when you get to this level, because everyone has speed, everyone has power, everyone has skills, everyone has defense. When you get to these levels, there's not a lot of things that are separating guys, you know. And when you look at me, I'm going to go ahead and take it away from there and go somewhere else real quick. when you look at me, when you take a look at me, I'm not a tall guy, am I?
Not particularly.
No, I'm not particularly tall.
Yeah.
But me and Errol Spence are eye to eye. But you consider him to be tall. He's not tall. That's not a tall guy. I'm not tall, but he's tall, right? No, he's not tall. He's 5'9". On his best day, if he was 5'10", 11, he still wouldn't be considered tall to me. That's an average height.
Tall for 147 is what people, tall for welterweight.
Nah. That's social media, and that's hype. And that's exactly what that is. Because we fought tall guys our entire life, and then I see someone else the other day, they said, well, the amateurs mean nothing like the pros. Obviously, you never fought amateur. Because if you fought amateur, you would know you'd have to go through a lot of amateur fights to become a good pro. Mm-hmm. You'd have to fight a lot of different styles to become a good pro. The best amateurs we had, the top 1, 2, 3, 4 guys every year are now your top professional boxers.
Right.
So it has a lot to do with it because it's your grooming, it's your preparation to get to where you're at. So it's just like going to college in freshman year, sophomore year, junior, senior year, and then you're going for a master's degree. That's where we at. Everybody up here has a master's degree.
What advantages does Sean have over Spence?
There's not a lot of advantages. There's just not a lot of advantages. The first one people are going to say is Spence is tall. That's his advantage. Well, that's never been a problem for us. Tall guys, if I could get Errol to grow another 2 or 3 inches before fight night, I would just go ahead and do that right now. I'd give him that, but it's not going to happen. Okay? But we grew, he come through. And here's another thing. And I was talking about the amateurs. If you know anything about the amateur program, as I just said, your top professional athletes now come from there, then you'd have to beat those guys and compete with those guys to get to where we're at now. So when I said Demetrius Andrade, Alexander Usyk, both over 6 feet tall, Alexander 6'3" and left-handed, Demetrius 6'1" and left-handed, Danny Jacobs, Sean Estrada, Edwin Rodriguez, Jesse Hart, 6'3" and left-handed. The list goes on and on and on. Those guys are considered tall to us. We've got wins over all of those guys. We know how to beat tall fighters. Our adjustment has been fighting small fighters. That's where our adjustment comes in.
What about skill advantage? What skill advantages do you have?
There's not a big skill advantage, as I said, when I previously alluded to before. Once you get to this level, Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman, Manny Pacquiao, Errol Spence, Sean Porter, all of these guys, Bud Crawford, all of these guys, there's not a big skill advantage for anyone once you get to these levels. Once you get to this level, it starts to even out. That's why you don't see any of those guys when they fight each other and someone just get knocked out. It just don't happen. Because once you get to this level, everyone has skill. Everyone has defense. Everyone is fast. Everyone is strong. Everyone has been working on this for a long time. So it's not a big advantage. Not one thing that I can just point out that I can say we got an advantage over. There's not one thing, and I'm quite sure they think differently, that they're going to be able to point out, although I did see Errol saying, yeah, he's faster, he's stronger, and quicker, a whole bunch of other stuff that goes along with that. And I'm banking that he believes in all of that. Because we have a whole lot of shit from him on fight night that says, that don't work, try something else. That don't work, try something else. Because we got a lot of things that we can try. And that's a big difference, and it's not an advantage that I would say is an advantage, but there is a big difference there when you are fundamentally sound, and I know you box, so I'm going to point directly at you. When you're fundamentally sound, and you do things a certain way all the time, and you get the same results, when things don't go your way, it does have an effect on you. I don't care who you are, it has an effect. Because you're used to doing things a certain way and getting the same results. You stick the key in the door, you turn the knob, the door opens up. Stick the key in and wait a minute, it's not turning. What's going on? Something's wrong with this door. I'm standing here too long trying to figure this out, right? Mm-hmm. So that's just human nature. So we plan on putting him in a lot of situations like that on fight night.
Kenny, isn't it sometimes, like we're saying, everybody has these abilities when you get to a certain level, but it comes what's between the ears, what you bring in, the confidence or your experience. That's what really what counts.
It can separate you. It can definitely separate you. You know, and all of these guys are mentally strong when they get to this level as well. So you're looking and you're digging and you're scratching, trying to find something that can give you a separation in that fight. You won't know those things until you come back to that corner and you try to make those adjustments to exploit whatever that is. So for us, it might just be an inch. You give us an inch, we don't want a foot. If we can get the foot, we're taking a yard. So yeah, the mental aspects of it, my kid, my fighter, I know he's mentally strong and prepared for this type of fight. There are some places that Errol Spence hasn't been in his professional fights. And to no fault of his own, he fights the guys they put in front of him. But there are some situations that he hasn't been in. So we're planning on putting him in those situations. We've been in a lot of those situations because we've been in with a Keith Thurman, a Danny Garcia,
Devin Alexander, Kell Brook,
Ugas. We've been in there with those guys. So we're going to try to make him have to deal with those same situations. We're more adept and used to being in those situations. We're definitely used to being in the underdog situation. We're definitely used to being the guy that they say is too small. And we're used to being the guy that surprises everybody.
But that's kind of what I was getting at by saying he has to be at his best. Is it because he had those moments where Kell Brook kept tying him up, and he'd been in the war with Keith Thurman, that's why he will be a little better than he's ever been? And does he need that little bit, that little inch to beat?
I think that gives him more than an inch. Mm-hmm. And as you just pointed that out, being in those situations, coming back to the corner, look, dude, he's tying you up. We got to do this. Or listen, this just happened. We got to do that. And he's been in those situations, so we believe that he can make those adjustments in those situations where, you know, the guy we're getting ready to fight, nobody knows yet. We'll find out on fight night.